Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini episode, today there are a couple of stories that I want to make you all aware of, folks. One, a Kentucky Bigfoot sighting. Another, we're going to be talking about the Jersey Devil. Let's have some fun and read the first article and make this a truly great video. Johnson County, Kentucky Bigfoot. Road crews, chilling encounter still defies explanation. Let's get into it now. For decades, whispers of strange creatures have haunted the hills and hollows of eastern Kentucky, but one snowy morning in 2000, two road workers came face to face with something impossible. Was it a Bigfoot crossing Tudor Key Road, or an unidentified creature never before documented in Johnson County? I recently read your article about the Paintsville train mystery, which I found pretty intriguing. Although I had heard about it around the time it occurred, I never thought much about it until I read your piece. I've lived in the area for my entire 67 years, and I believe it's safe to say that many unexplained phenomena are happening here. I worked for the Johnson County Road Department for 27 years and heard numerous stories during that time. Most of these stories revolve around UFOs and ghost tales, but there have been a few that generally make you scratch your head initially. I was skeptical of what I was hearing. However, after experiencing something myself, I began to consider that there might be some truth to those other stories. In February 2000, around mid-morning, my coworker and I were driving east on Tudor Key Road, working on the roadway as it was snowing heavily. We had been out since around midnight, but we were managing to keep up with the snowfall, and the road surfaces were looking good. We had just passed Hanner's Branch Road, and we were approaching the area where the power line crosses above the road when I noticed something significant jump out of the ditch on our right and run across the road. There was a 10-foot rock wall on the other side of the road. It cleared the road and climbed over the rocks. In just a few seconds, both of us got a good look at it, but we had no idea what it was. I've never been a believer in Bigfoot, and I still have my doubts, but I can't explain what we saw that morning. The creature crossed the road about 50 feet in front of us and moved like a human. We estimated it was about 6.5 feet tall and covered in black hair. When it jumped the rocks, we noticed it had vast shoulders and relatively short but strong legs. Its head appeared smaller than a human's, and we couldn't see its face. It was definitely not a bear. I have seen many bears, and this creature did not resemble one. On the other hand, after looking at various pictures of Bigfoot, I can't say any of them matched what we witnessed either. I've talked to a few people I know about what I saw that day. Most of them suggested it was probably a Bigfoot, mentioning that others have been spotted in this part of Kentucky. One individual at County Animal Control told me that his neighbor saw a Bigfoot digging through a trash pile one winter. The next day, he found large footprints in the mud, and his dogs wouldn't go near the area. Probably because those two dogs could probably smell the Bigfoot on this trash heap. And considering that Bigfoot smells like trash apparently, there's a good chance that maybe to these dogs he smelled worse. Either way, let's continue. I decided to write to you for your perspective. Even though I have lived on my farm for over 20 years, I have never encountered any evidence of a Bigfoot or anything that large. Thank you for your time, JD. Let's continue with reading this little note as well, folks. I contacted JD the next morning, found him to be very genuine and sincere. He forwarded a few Google Maps images showing the rock wall and the road where he and his co-worker had their sighting. I believe this was likely a Bigfoot, possibly a younger male. JD mentioned he had heard of other Bigfoot sightings in the area, but remains unconvinced of their existence despite his encounter. Well, he has good evidence, at least himself, folks, that Bigfoot exists. He saw something, and it looks like what others have described as Bigfoot, folks. So, if this guy wants to not believe in Bigfoot, that's fine, but he has a good reason to believe in them. Either way, a very interesting story, folks. But now, folks, let's move over to the Jersey Devil and hear about 300 years of fear, folklore, and frightening encounters in the Pine Barrens. So, let's get into this article now. For nearly 3 centuries, whispers of the Jersey Devil have haunted the Pine Barrens of New Jersey, its glowing eyes and chilling screams striking terror in locals and travelers alike. From colonial legends to modern eyewitness accounts, the question remains, is this infamous beast mere folklore or a supernatural predator still lurking in the shadows? The Jersey Devil is one of America's oldest and most endearing legends, a cryptid born of colonial superstition and kept alive by chilling encounters that continue to this day. According to folklore, the story begins in 1735 with Jane Leeds, better known as Mother Leeds, who cursed her 13th child during pregnancy. On a stormy night, she gave birth to what appeared to be a normal baby, but before long, it transformed into a grotesque winged monster with the head of a horse, bat-like wings, claws, and a serpent's tail. With a blood-curdling scream, the creature reportedly killed the midwife, shot up the chimney, and vanished into the Pine Barrens. Over the next 2 centuries, stories spread of livestock killed, crops ruined, and children disappearing near the night. In 1812, Joseph Bonaparte, brother of Napoleon, claimed to have seen the beast while hunting on his estate in 1909. A wave of sightings terrified South Jersey and Pennsylvania residents, with newspapers reporting dozens of encounters in a single week. Schools closed, mobs armed themselves, and even the Philadelphia Zoo offered a reward for its capture. Descriptions vary, sometimes kangaroo-like, sometimes goat-like, sometimes closer to a gargoyle. But consistent features include its glowing red eyes, leathery wings, and piercing scream. Witnesses across generations, from campers and forest rangers to police officers and government officials, insist they've seen the Jersey Devil stalking the Pine Barrens. Folklorists suggest the tale served different social purposes: to frighten children from wandering too far, to protect moonshiners' operations during the Prohibition, or even as a symbolic guardian of the Pine Barrens' wild, unforgiving landscape. For believers, however, the devil is no metaphor. It's a living, breathing entity, a supernatural predator that surfaces every few years, often during periods of unrest and uncertainty. Modern reports are still filed from Freehold to Mount Laurel to Pennsylvania's farmsteads. Witnesses described winged, black-furred creatures with elongated faces and impossible cries. Some suggest it's more than flesh and blood, a spirit born of the barrens itself, appearing when the land or its people are threatened. Whether demon, cryptid, or folklore that refuses to fade, the Jersey Devil remains deeply etched into the cultural identity of New Jersey. Its legend persists through books, films, and even as the mascot of the state's NHL hockey team. But within the Pine Barrens, residents still whisper of screams in the night, strange shadows in the trees, and a monster that refuses to die. Historical context. In 1735, birth of the legend with mother leads in the Pine Barrens. In 1812, Joseph Bonaparte reports an encounter while hunting. In 1909, widespread sightings and mass panic across South Jersey and Philadelphia. In 1927 through 1960, cab drivers, children, and residents report attacks and screams. Reward posters go up. The modern day. Sporadic reports continue, with some linking sightings to social unrest or environmental changes. Cultural legacy. From regional folklore to pop culture icon, the Jersey Devil is now a sports mascot, book subject, and horror film figure. Very interesting, folks. There's also a note. Let's read that as well. The Jersey Devil is one of America's most iconic cryptids, rooted in 18th century folklore surrounding Mother Leeds and her cursed 13th child. Sightings have spanned over 300 years, from Joseph Bonaparte's 1812 encounter to the mass hysteria of 1909 and into the modern era. While skeptics argue it's nothing more than superstition, witnesses continue to report glowing eyes, monstrous cries, and winged creatures emerging from the Pine Barrens. Legend endures as a symbol of fear, mystery, and New Jersey identity. That is incredible, isn't it, folks? This cryptid has been around a very long time. Is it possible that this entity is real? Or do you think, well, with the fact that so many people talk about it and believe in it, folks, that's maybe some sort of tulpa, even going to basically be an egregore? As I've explained before, folks, tulpas are, well, thought forms created by a single person, but an egregore is basically the same subject, a thought form, an entity created basically by belief, but by more than one person. Much like basically the Slender Man, folks. Perhaps the Jersey Devil never actually existed, but maybe now he does, because so many people believe in him so very badly. Now, is that possible, folks? Maybe. And maybe the same thing could be said with Bigfoot. Maybe, well, the entity that was seen by our witness in the first story, folks, was some sort of thought form conjured up by basically people believing in it. And basically this guy who saw it, well, he doesn't actually say he believes in Bigfoot. He knows what he saw. So maybe this entity, well, or entities like it, maybe they use people and their belief in them to basically come into existence. Either way, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics that are bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions of the chat to go subscribe to me. You hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Hit the part of the bell that will give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.